Welcome to Watching Dead, the officially unofficial podcast for The Walking Dead on AMC. I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron.
Almost forgot what network this was on. We are doing our Season 7A wrap-up. The first half season is over. Don't get the next half season until next year. And we're here to talk about it. I think we said a lot about it in the previous episode, in kind of the finale episode, wrapped up the season a bit. We have a lot of feedback, though, that I want to go over, and it might encourage a lot of discussion.
Okay.
So, do you have any thoughts you want to get to before we get right into the feedback?
No, not really. I did listen to a few other of the competitors' podcasts to see kind of what everybody else was thinking, and it looks like that the season finale was met with mostly approval. Mm-hmm. After everybody kind of been down at the midpoint in the season, and also I guess the one thing. Some people thought that we had left it ambiguous about whether we are returning for the second half of the season. I want to lay that to rest. We will be coming back and finishing up Season 7. I'm not going to guarantee exactly what shape that format that will be. Like, we might shift it to a day. We might move it like less of a recap and more of what we call our half-ass podcasts, which it's been the same amount of effort, roughly, but what we do is we dispense with the recap. We just talk about the things we liked and didn't like. Right. It's more of a review than a recap review. Mm-hmm. And then like I said, I'm not going to make any promises about the depth of the coverage or what form the coverage or what day the coverage will be released. But we will be back now. Past this season, who knows? But I think one of the things, to kind of illuminate that, one of the things we were bummed about this season is I felt like that, I think you felt the same way, having the Walking Dead podcast on Monday stole some focus away from the Westworld podcast, so we would have done much better too. Like, I don't think we did a bad job, but I think we had to really hustle to get adequate coverage out for that.
Yeah, and I felt like I didn't do a service to either podcast that way.
Yeah.
Like, Westworld was clearly a much better show.
It's also...
It surprisingly had a bigger audience for us. I think we... I wouldn't say drop the ball, because how could we have known?
Right.
But it sucks that Walking Dead kind of got in the way of a much better show, of our coverage of a much better show.
Yeah, and like I said, if I had to do it over again, I'd probably push Walking Dead to Wednesday release.
Right.
Which I don't know if that would that would just kill the Walking Dead show, but either way, it's like, I think that's, it
would probably kill the growth of Walking Dead, but for people who really want us to stick around, and there are a lot of them.
Yes.
I got a lot of feedback from people saying, hey, I don't want to lose this podcast. Sometimes it's the only reason I watch the show, or I don't even watch the show. I just listen to your podcast, but I don't want it to go away.
And we like doing it. I mean, it bums us out, and it's always roughest. Like, the last time I got this close to quitting The Walking Dead was Season 3. Mm-hmm. The finale, which I just felt was like really disrespectful to fans, and also I think it had the misfortune, maybe not. This seems, I thought it maybe was airing opposite of True Detective, Season 1, and anytime you got a contrast between such a superior show and The Walking Dead, and then The Walking Dead is also in the middle of shitting the bed, it makes it even worse. And we had that situation where we watched The Walking Dead, then went home and watched Westworld, and like, geez, wow.
And then realized, I can't think about Westworld for the next day. I have to think about this show.
Right. And it doesn't do anybody any favors. So, like I said, no promises as to what form or what day or how we approach the content, but we are not giving up on Rick and Carl just yet.
Yeah, and the thing that I think the part that I didn't like about covering this season of Walking Dead really was taking the show seriously. I don't feel like taking the show seriously anymore, because I don't think the show itself bothers to take the details seriously.
Well, but to push back on that a little bit, I think part of the problem was there was also, like, that Terra episode wasn't a whole lot to rip on. It was bad in a way that wasn't even entertaining to make fun of. It was just bad.
Well, I mean, I think if our sole focus was to have a little more fun with this stuff, I think we could have come up with something, certainly. The other thing that the Monday schedule of Walking Dead, Tuesday Westworld schedule did is it fucked with our ability to ever make skits. Like, we never had time to even think about making a skit.
Right.
Which has been, kind of some of the most fun we've had with this show.
I don't. When's the last time we had a skit out? Did we have one in season 6? I know we had a shit ton in
remember.
The Alexander introduction. We even did video skits and stuff. But yeah, that's
one of the side effects.
Advancing
that I
it to Monday.
think about.
If we did it to Wednesday,
right,
you got the whole thing in reverse. You got much more time to do stuff like that. So
yeah.
Anyway, I just want to set everybody at mind at ease that we will be doing something. And again, we're not going to do something we don't think is good. So like when I say half-ass podcast, no, that's just the smart-ass bald move way to refer to a recapless podcast. Like
right.
Our Fargo podcast, our half-ass podcast, our The Leftovers, which I think is some of our finest work.
Yeah.
Half-ass podcast. So it's not a
and
knock.
I spend more time doing the Leftovers podcast than I've ever spent on a recap.
Yeah. So it's not a knock on. It's just us being smartasses and being internally self-deprecating. So there you go.
Okay, let's get into some feedback. We start off with John from Kentucky has a couple things to say. First off, after watching this season, I've realized Netflix would be a better platform for The Walking Dead. And I don't know that I disagree with that.
So that's the theory,
and a lot of people find it on Netflix.
That binging cures all ills.
Yeah, he says I started the show a few years late, and I enjoyed seasons 1 and 2 because I was binging it. The second I got to the third season, I started having problems with the show, and maybe that's a symptom of the third season kind of being ruined at the end.
So, I feel like this is like the conventional wisdom is like, oh, binging is going to make things better. I don't think it makes things better. I think it just allows you to rinse the taste of a particularly bad or uneventful episode out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Like if you have a Terra episode, you have an entire week to ruminate on, oh God, and like, whereas, if you have a Terra episode in Netflix, it's just like, oh well, starting next episode in 15, 14, 13, it's like it's on to the next one.
Yeah, we do have an email later kind of about the same topic that goes more in depth, and I think there are some things that the Netflix model does actually fix. I think that the show does, but we'll talk about it when we
I
get
will
there.
say this, that I think Netflix, the model might not fix it, but Netflix, the company, I don't know that Netflix, the company, treats this property the way AMC does. Like if AMC shits to bed on this and ratings continue to erode and they cancel like The Killing, I could see Netflix snapping it up and actually pumping cash in and bringing in new runners and taking this property to the next level like it should be. Because for whatever reason, AMC is not interested in doing that.
Right.
So that... we also talk about, is there a way that AMC might wrap up this current storyline? Because it seems increasingly likely that there's no way they're going to get 20 years out of this, which seems like what you would need to tell Kirkman's entire magnum opus here.
Right. So,
like, could there be a way where you could tie up Rick and Carl's story in a way that maybe you could recast some of the leads and start it with, start over? But why would AMC let that happen? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If it went to Netflix, they might just start a new series.
Yeah.
And I know they have a history of not doing that, like Arrested Development and various other shows that they've brought back. But, yeah.
Or it'd be interesting to just recast everybody and start over and actually tell the comic book storyline.
Right.
How about
that?
No,
seriously, The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
That's what
really.
it'd be called.
Yeah, it's like, how you had the Ghostbusters and the cartoon, and it was like
Ghostbusters.
completely made up and abusive, and then you had the real Ghostbusters. You have Walking Dead and the real Walking Dead.
Number 2, after listening to your wrap-up viewer emails of Heart Still Beating, I went back and rewatched the scene where Richard cries in his camper. Very blatantly and conspicuously, his feet aren't shown. They're covered by branches when he enters the camper and covered by his legs when he falls down.
Oh,
Even when he walks into the camper and his full body is shown, only his feet are covered by a box. This might be the show trying to hide that he is the boot guy, because if we saw his shoes or socks, we'd know it was him. What do you think about that? Conspicuous hiding of boots. Yeah.
Interesting theory. And I also have an off-topic story that I think our nerd audience, our fellow nerd audience will enjoy. So last night we did our Star Wars review. And one of the things we got into is an issue about Peter Cushing and how they use his image in the film. And so I was reading, because I was wanting to know, did they seek permission for that use and etc. And I got to an article that talked about how Peter Cushing found the riding boots so uncomfortable to wear, and they hurt his feet so badly that he refused to wear them, and all of his scenes in A New Hope are he's wearing slippers, bedroom slippers.
Awesome.
So when the artists were going to
That's
try
baller.
to try to get reference images of him just moving around and stuff, they could, because every scene with him, with like one rare exception, is filmed from the ankles up. And I thought that is hilarious.
And if you're Lucas, what do? You got this famous British actor that you're trying to direct here. You don't say,
I mean,
no, I'm
you've
sorry,
seen
Peter,
all the
you've got to wear...
You've seen all the behind-the-scenes material. Lucas was barely in control.
Right.
Like, he had lighting guys giving him shit, grips giving him shit, camera operators, like, everybody just... this weird nerd with a beard and flannel, and he's American, and we're English, and it was a real shit show. But part of the shit show...
Peter Cushing shows up on set in slippers. You don't question it.
Well, I mean,
you just shoot around
the execs wanted to put, if you remember, Chewbacca in lederhosen because there was concern that the Wookiee was naked, and George had to decide between fighting Cushing slippers and the Wookiee's lederhosen, and he let the slippers win. So
he was counseled by Han to let the slippers win. Okay, let's move on to Dan P., who wanted to give his overall reaction to how the half season would play out. Hopefully you'll share this and stick with the podcast as he enjoys our stuff on his morning commutes. It says, after the season opener, seeing what Gimple and Kirkman did with this episode 2 and 4, I was furious with their logic. To take the pressure cooker of the first episode and let it just out like a whoopee cushion because we needed to know about Carol and Morgan, Tara, Heath, and Maggie. Then I took a step back and I realized what they were doing is the one thing that I was hoping they'd do every season, which is play chess. At no point would Easy Street or Carol, the thieving wheelchair woman, would have been met with happiness, but it needed to be done much like the opening with pawns before you can move the bishops. Tara's episode seems like a ridiculous one until you realize that it gives hope to a community that could work and survive without being under Negan's thumb. My wife said after the last episode that she had thought the governor was more terrorizing until what happened Sunday with Negan, I guess. It goes to show that while they were trying to move the pieces, they didn't make Negan a scary guy in actuality, just in theory. Oh, wait. Am I confusing it here? I think I'm confusing the issue. Yeah, but basically he's saying, they're setting up the pieces. And I don't disagree, and I think these pieces need to be set up. I just think that they're setting them up poorly.
yeah,
They're not taking into account like the details of how they get them set up. They just want to get them set up. It's like if you were setting up a chessboard and you took your pawns and put them in the back row because I just want to get the board set up.
or you let the team white move 6 pieces because I don't want to have to deal with the cutting back and forth in black and white, and then
Right.
black will, and they move the same way anyway. No, that's
Right.
you're only seeing half the thing, and it's less interesting. And this siloing everything up, and I guess I've come to the realization that that's probably solely a budgeting deal. Like it seems reasonable that they're trying to save budget by keeping some of the actors siloed from the others, so they only have to pay them this instead of this, and
maybe to advance the shooting schedule, and
or
all kinds of stuff,
even if
right?
it's that, it doesn't seem like it's a thing that serves the story. It's something that just serves the bottom line, and I'm fine with a slow, patient deploying of pieces, but a lot of times I just felt like I was only seeing half the board. And also, they also had said things like, oh, well, the reason we did the finale the way we did is because we want to see everyone's reactions. And then my feeling is I felt like I was robbed of a lot of people's reactions to what's going on. Like, I don't feel like they gave a full, they let Tara have 15 seconds to grieve. When Maggie and Rick reunited, there was none of this, hey, there was this kind of complex discussion about who was at fault, and hey, have we thought about that any? Or it's not. I just felt like they really shortchanged the emotion of what these characters went through in a lot of this stuff. But
yeah, and especially with Tara, you have to focus on the things that matter to those characters. And Glenn certainly mattered to Tara. I'm not going to take away from that. But Abraham, she didn't give a shit about Abraham. Why would she? Right. She barely knew Abraham. I don't know. I feel like shortchanging the Denise thing just totally just undermines everything they spent setting up. Those chess pieces they set up last season,
right?
To come back and just not even really address it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing because they don't feel like it's not. I mean, it's going to be so annoying because I'm sure 5 episodes from now in the next half season they'll have some speech where she talks about how much she loves Denise, and I'm like, that's not how. You can't just take emotional beats and stick them wherever you want.
Yeah,
you can't. That violates a lot of the laws of how things work in cinema. That's why pacing and tone and all that stuff is important. That's why Casey Kasem flipped out when he had to go into an up goddamn tempo record off of a goddamn death dedication.
Right.
Because you can't make that shit work. And that's what Walking Dead does all the time. So,
yeah. All right, Tony T has a couple of comments about our previous podcasts, clarifying some things. He says, telling Dwight that he can have sex with any woman who will say yes is a slap in his face, essentially. He's basically saying that he is too repulsive for any woman to ever say yes. And it's in a scene where he kind of was already talking about his face, right? So I think that makes a lot of sense. And it's something that we hadn't talked about and probably missed entirely.
I took it from because Negan in the comic books is famously, that's like one of his little things of morality is like he doesn't let his men, he forbids rape.
Okay.
Now, again, you look at it from a perspective of are any of these women in a situation where you would call it true consent, and I'd say no,
obviously,
which is kind of like a weird thing, is like to hang. And I think I give Kirkman enough credit that I think that's kind of the point, that like he has this kind of archaic morality around some of this stuff, which is really no morality at all. Whereas I feel like some fans on the internet take it the wrong way, and it's like, well, that's an interesting facet of Negan. Like, what a contrast! Such a brutal guy, but he respects women.
Sure,
sure.
So I don't think Kirkman is condoning it.
No. That's what I'm saying. I'm taking pains to say I think Kirkman's smart enough to like he's showing that as like a weird, like a weird character flourish rather than a redeeming side to him.
Sure.
Anyway, so I was looking at it all from that angle. I'd never thought about maybe he was shining Dwight on, and I don't know what the show really intended, because they also, I mean, I would imagine they would pay homage to that character quirk of Negan's. So I don't know, that's a good piece of secondary analysis though.
Also, we were blasting Maggie for being up on that wall,
yeah,
showing her face all around the greater DC area. He says maybe Maggie doesn't know she's supposed to be dead. She hasn't had contact with anyone from Alexandria since the killings, since Negan's loose ceilings. So she doesn't know that they've told her. They've told him that she's dead.
That's not the problem that at least I had. My problem is the Hilltop community, or at least the Gregory contingent of it, is worried that they would be connected to the extra legal killings of the Savior men.
Sure, yeah.
So the fact that they're professing ignorance and know nothing about these Alexandrians, if they show up and fucking Maggie's on the wall, that busts that wide open. And then,
I mean, Gregory's an idiot. Certainly, I know that. But like, why?
I don't think he's wrong about that, though. If Maggie is seen in the Hilltop, there will be reprisals, because that will prove that they're
right. My point in saying Gregory is an idiot is Gregory's going to let Maggie go do whatever she wants. Apparently.
Okay,
like
right,
but yeah,
so
Maggie shouldn't have a problem necessarily. Like, there's no reason for her not to go up on the wall.
Does she not feel any kind of responsibility towards these people's lives? Because like, if Negan's men see her through binoculars and like, what the fuck? That's that chick from Alexandria. Then the Hilltop's in a lot of shit. People are gonna die.
At the very least, she should care about this doctor.
And that's
for
like
selfish reasons, for good reasons,
and also you go back to
he's helped her.
Is her womb ripped or not?
Sure.
If it's ripped, then she shouldn't be fucking climbing up and down ladders to get the walls.
Yeah.
So
sure,
I have a multifaceted defense to this thing.
Okay, let's talk about the chess pieces, because a lot of people wrote in and obviously said these are Dwight's. This is how Daryl knew he was in Dwight's room.
That's why he flipped over the board.
Because he said, hey, yeah, and that's why he flipped over the board. Because back in the day, I guess, last season, he told Daryl, I like to carve shit. Or something.
And we even thought, and that like showed up in his motorcycle saddlebags,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so. And I remember I was having a conversation about like, oh, man, they expect us to remember that shit. Like that's such a.
Let me get on to Abob Teff's email because he addresses this exact point, and I think it's interesting to talk about. He says, in regards to the chess piece, it was a very specific totem which told us that Daryl actually ended up in Dwight's room, hence the flipping of the table and getting angry. But how the hell would we know that? I only caught it because I happened to be flipping channels during AMC's Walking Dead marathon leading up to the finale. I landed on AMC right at the point where we meet Dwight, his wife, and her sister. Mm-hmm. It had been so long ago, and I couldn't recall much of the early story with Dwight, so I rewatched a bit. The showrunners, looking at you, Gimple, don't understand the impact of real-world time on the show. They have a penchant for planting small seeds and expecting them to pay off for viewers long after the expiration dates. In this particular instance, Gimple expects fans to recall this bit of minutia planted over a calendar year ago and over 20 viewing hours ago. Whereas he expects that to convey a meaningful plot point to the audience. So how is it that indicative of the major problem with this season? Again, the time issue. I don't think the season was bad as far as content and story. We probably disagree there. The problem was the delivery. Okay.
No, actually, I think you're right.
So.
The core germ of the story told here was interesting.
Okay, by not intercutting with the various stories, viewers lost sight of the main plot and lost connections with major characters. When these connections to the overall story were lost, episodes felt like filler when in actuality they were not. Too many 90-minute episodes also contributed to that feeling. Rather than feeling like individual arms of a larger story, most of the season felt like plots for each character's spin-off show. The showrunners need to decide if they are going to make the show for appointment viewing week to week on AMC now or for binge watchers on Netflix next year. And that, I think, is interesting. So that gets to like the crux of the interesting part, which is the growing pains of this sort of internet sleuthing and this internet engagement on shows, which is, a crutch that they can use to guarantee that people will see what they're trying to do. So, like, I'm certain that this was mentioned all over Reddit. When it happened. Like, these were Dwight's chess pieces. This, he flipped the table because he's angry. Dwight told him in episode 3 of season 6 or whatever that I like to carve things, and even gave him a chess piece. Mm-hmm. That was probably out there. But expecting an average viewer and making your show around it, to where it's important to remember those tiny little details from way before, I think it harms the week-to-week viewing, certainly.
Although the other counterpoint, I don't really believe this, I'm just going to throw it out there, is that it's also not super crucial to the plot. Like,
wait, character motivations aren't super crucial to the plot? Understanding what's in a character's head is absolutely crucial to a plot.
But Dwight carving the thing and Daryl realizing that, and Daryl being frustrated and flipping over that, I don't think that is vital to understanding either Dwight nor Daryl. I mean, if you disagree, that's fine. That's my opinion.
I think it provides a richness that is entirely lost in The Walking Dead because of the things they do like this.
Yeah, I'll give you that. And like I said, I've seen other shows do things like this, but it's always a lot more distinctive of a thing. Mm-hmm. Like, I was going to give a Game of Thrones example, but that might be spoilery. A Lord of the Rings, they make a big deal about giving Sam and Frodo these brooches, right, around their neck, these little like elf things, these leaves, and then they show one of the hobbits dropping it, and then they show Aragorn later on in the same fucking movie picking it up as part of the trail, and then he comments like, "Not idly do the leaves of Lothlorien fall," to make sure you make the connection between all that stuff. And here it's just, you have a very minor character from a season and a half ago doing something, and then another character observing, and it's like, you're right. Like, I don't know whether Daryl should have been like, "Oh, God damn it, Dwight, you son of a bitch," before he did it, but
I don't know if this is an intentional decision to kind of lean into, the new way of watching TV for a lot of people, or if this is something that they're just unconsciously doing because they think it's cool, or they think, yeah, people will remember this. I don't know which it is, but if they are in fact leaning into this sort of internet era of television watching, they're leaning too hard into it.
I think it's just a sign of their, like, I went on my rant about amateur hack writing a couple weeks back, and I think that's my point, is that leaving breadcrumbs in your script and in your story is super easy. Mm-hmm. Connecting them in a meaningful way and have them have your audience, because a lot of this stuff only really is meaningful if you organically make the connections. You know, like if you yourself realize, oh yes, that's Dwight's thing, and oh yeah, and you feel clever, and you feel like you've made a discovery along with Daryl. If you have to go look it up on Reddit, you know, that's where I'm like, you know, we argue the other way in Westworld. We're like, oh, a lot of the fun is being drained out because you got a million people analyzing something in a microscope, and they find this minute thing that blows the lid open on something that happens episodes later, and I'm missing out on the feeling of cleverness and like aha when I see this happen on the screen. You got the reverse problem in Walking Dead where shit is just happening and it's so tenuous that the only way the average person's going to figure it out is by going on Reddit and seeing it. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's not like eventually a person will realize, oh yeah, that's Dwight's chess piece. You know,
yeah, it's that they never realize it and then they go back and read it.
yeah.
It's that they've seen all the clues. And the show has tried to tell them, but it's just not. It's not.
Although, if you're binging this on a weekend on Netflix, maybe you would, you know, again, maybe
20
Netflix
hours is still
a
lot.
It's a lot.
A lot.
It's a lot. Hey, everybody! Once again, if you liked our coverage of The Walking Dead and you enjoy what we do here at Bald Move, we'd appreciate your support at support.baldmove.com. A couple things are coming out on the 20th. Telltale is releasing season 3 of their Walking Dead episodes.
No, they're releasing some side story.
Oh, it's not Back to Clem?
No.
Oh shit, I'm completely missing.
No, this is like Beyond the Dead or something like that.
Beyond the Dead, interesting.
Yeah, the new Beyond.
So we've done almost all the Walking Dead kind of playthroughs you can, and we have a good time, and we stream it, and we try to be the worst person possible. That's our goal.
Yep.
And a lot of people have enjoyed it, and we traditionally give the first episode away to everybody, and we're going to do the same thing. There's 2 episodes coming out on the 20th. We're giving the first one away for everybody so you can get a taste. The rest of the episodes for this particular season or sub-story are going to be exclusively for club members only. Also, if you're kind of on the fence about whether or not to join the club, our new software allows people to have a 30-day free trial. Mm-hmm. So you can sign up, and if you don't like it, you can cancel and get a free month of our content. And explore all the different things we have to offer. And this December's been chock-a-block full. We've had live watches of Christmas movies, the Badass Bald Move Christmas we call. We've had Rocky IV, Die Hard, Jingle All the Way, which have all been funny, exclusive podcasts, and what we call our drunken lunches, where we have this whiskey advent calendar, and whatever we have left after we've watched a movie, we consume in an hour of audience Q&A interaction and see what happens. So it's been fun, and again, if you would like to support us, we could sure use it at support.baldmove.com. And why not try it for free? 'Tis the season to get free stuff and try things out.
Anyway, let's get to Barry C. from the UK, who says, so anyone who's stuck with your podcast this long probably agrees that the biggest problem The Walking Dead has is not acting, the script, the interesting themes, or the action. It's the storytelling and the pacing. Do you think, with all the material from the show that already exists, a skilled editor or storyteller could cut the crap out and create an excellent series?
Man, haven't we not said this before? Like, I think it is there to be done. I think you can pull a season and a half, maybe 2 seasons out of this show and make it be pretty tight.
Yeah, I still think you'd have some problems. I just don't think a lot of the footage is there to make the story really make sense.
Really? Oh, I think that most of this is going to be addition through subtraction.
Oh, I agree. 100% agree. I just think there will be clunky bits where they just didn't bother to film shit.
Yeah, no, you're right. There is some things, and you're still going to have weird day-to-night transitions and stuff like that. But I do think that the majority, and I just feel like that there will be some kind of, when all is said and done, the same way that you got these fan edits. And in fact, there might already be, but I feel like
there were, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
For early seasons.
I feel like you can really take a lot out of the Walking Dead and make it a much better show. And also correct the pacing and that would be, if I was in college and I was studying editing, I would be very tempted to do something like that. Mm-hmm. Because you're
Yeah, I
right,
think it's
the
Apocalypse edition
the
or
acting
something.
by and large is really good, and some of the worst acting is confined to the B plots, like Emily and the Slaptown Hospital. Like a lot of the people
Right.
there were barely above replacement level, probably below.
Yeah.
You get rid of some of that shit, and you focus on the main story, and all those guys bring it. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, Nola B says, this season, Carol has been like a stand-in for the bored audience, sitting on the sidelines, waiting to be left alone until something interesting happens. I know you were both Carol fans who were disappointed by the turn her character took last season. How do you feel about her character these days? Are you optimistic for her coming arc? So, I really don't know yet what her coming arc is. I think she's going to be forced into action at some point. That seems the only logical way to go with Carol, other than get her off the show. So I guess I would be excited to see that if she at least has to participate in the events happening around her.
Do we have a spoiler section? Are you planning?
We have a small one, yeah.
Okay, good, because I got some spoiler thoughts about that. But so I think that one of Carol or Morgan will die.
Okay.
And I like them both so much that I don't really have a dog in the who I'd like to see survive. And there's also an outside chance that they both die.
Yeah.
Because they do, like, Carol just feels like one of the themes of the show is that humanity is now coming together again. And there's two sides. There's a Negan side where you don't just get by and help each other out. You try to take it all. And then there's the Rick and Hilltop and Kingdom side where everyone tries to get together and encourage hope and try to get back to normalcy. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Carol's going to be one of these old warriors that just doesn't have any play. Like, it's one of those things where her arc is going to be about preparing the way for that next, but she's not going to be part of that,
Okay, I can see that.
And I think Morgan maybe has got enough to where he could survive in the new order. But I think that's going to be her arc, that she's going to be part of protecting something that she herself won't be a part of, and probably will die sacrificing.
Yeah, I can see that.
And again, that's not comic book knowledge, because Carol's been dead long, like before, in the middle of the prison arc in the comics. So I have no idea. That's just me looking at her arc and what she's doing right now.
Yeah, and I just wonder how much longer Melissa McBride. I mean, she's been here since day one, people.
Yep, and and as like another one of the Darabont crew,
right?
So she
probably, eventually wants to quit doing this.
On the other hand, I gotta say, I think that her character, she's probably come out the best of all of the classic characters as far as like becoming from where she started and where she is now. Mm-hmm. Like, she has become a real character with depth and nuance and strength, and someone that you can say she's the best fighter in the room and no one laughs because she's a middle-aged woman. Like,
right.
no, she's really a badass. She's a killer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and from where she started, that's an amazing transformation.
Yeah, and I imagine I think she would probably say this is the best role of her career, unironically.
The Mist was pretty good.
It was a Mist, but it's a 2-hour. I mean, whatever it is, like, how many really showcase moments did she get out of that? She get 5 minutes worth, maybe.
Right.
So
she's certainly more of a household name now than she ever was.
Yeah, and like she's gotten to do some really good stuff with really talented actors. So I think that probably counts as something. But you're right. I think all these actors, I'm reading between the lines, and everyone's kind of getting, this is a grueling thing. It's probably a lot of fun, and they feel like a big family, but
right.
It's grueling, and they also kind of start to see the leaves are falling off the tree.
Yeah,
it's entering fall, and winter's coming soon.
The harsh Georgian winter.
Harsh Georgian winter. Harsh DC winter.
Chris H. says, Daryl still does not know that Carol left Alexandria last season. He and Carol will likely reunite in the kingdom. Will he be able to talk Carol into rejoining society? They're both in dark places right now, but do you think they'll be able to help each other?
Who? Carol and who?
Carol and Daryl.
Oh, right.
And they've always kind of had this connection,
Simpatico.
Whether it was romantic or whether it was, strictly an emotional support sort of thing.
Two kindred souls who know what it's like to be through ritualized domestic abuse.
Yeah.
That's a good point, because I don't know what Daryl would think of her.
I don't know either. I mean, especially Daryl now. I mean, Daryl seems keen on fighting.
Well, and also, like, I don't care what you think of someone. There's a there's a real hostility for someone who feels like they've been abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I like you, but you walked out on us. And Carol did literally walk out on them, and not just once or twice, I guess she was banished to one time, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know that I don't know how he'll feel about her. That would be an interesting thing to explore.
All right, Sean G says, you said that you didn't understand the symbolism of Rick in the prison with the note and the hatchet. And, we took some stabs at it, and I think we mostly got the sentiment correct, but he wanted to elaborate. The hatchet represents war, death, and destruction. The note was just that if you win the war, at what cost? How many people have to die to win this war? The prison was him not going to war. He is a prisoner of Negan. It may be safe, but you'll be broken. Rick has struggled with all of the blood on his hands for a while now. And the choices he has made have led to so many people dying that he now, has to choose between war and people actually dying, or not going to war and him still losing, but dying as a prisoner in Negan. Then Michonne comes in to tell him if we go out on our own terms, that's a good thing. It's okay to go to war. And, I did we ever get to the point where we kind of understood what was going on there? I mean, the note was the confusing thing to us, I guess.
Yeah, because it seemed like they were representing. It's weird. None of them it didn't seem like a binary choice, which is like the way that thing is set up. You think it's like hatchet is war, obviously.
Right.
But then the other path is you win, you lose. That's like there wasn't an obvious duality there.
Yeah,
and maybe that's
I had arrived on on that concept of you may get what you want, like, because there was the problem of like Rick versus Spencer here, right? And how Spencer wanted to work with them and then figure out, and all these people wanted to take Negan down.
Right.
And Rick, if he had had his way, they would have just suffered under Negan.
Right.
So like, I thought that was the if you win, you lose, but he's
so there's like, and so is that it's supposed to mean like there's a third path, and that he's are we going to understand that there's a third option that he was trying to grope for? And that the hilltop's going to be part of. Like I'm still like, yeah, I get what they were trying to do, but not exactly. And right. That's a problem.
I agree. Yeah,
the fact that even that's this email articulating, like, I still don't find it 100% satisfying. That like, oh yes, I know exactly what they're intending to suggest there.
Right. Okay, and that's it. That's all I've got for the emails. I do have a few left over that I want to go into in the spoiler section.
Yeah, and I have a couple thoughts I wanted to kind of expand on the spoiler section as well.
Okay, well then we'll do that. After the music, there will be a section that is all spoilers, so if you are spoiler averse, stay out of that section. Just shut it off when the music comes on.
Are we still doing a preview podcast?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I think we'll do a preview, because there should be a lot of information out about the new season. I actually saw a clip already that has me somewhat excited, but we'll talk about it in the spoiler section.
Interesting. All right.
So thanks, everybody, for listening to our coverage this half season. We'll be back in February. February 14th?
I think it's
12th,
around there.
I think, is the first episode.
Yeah.
So they just announced that. So look forward to that, and we'll see you next year. And we're back with the spoiler section. I've got a few emails. Do you want to talk about something with Carol?
Right. So I think it's interesting that they're introducing the prison because a lot of people probably, since that happened a season ago, forgot that, Morgan wanted to build a prison because he wanted to have that third way.
Right.
The way the all-out war goes, unless they're going to do the remix of all remixes, is they don't kill Negan. They take him prisoner. And this is like, the start of a new kind of reboot of Western-style democracy with concepts of justice and whatnot. So I'm trying to think of like who's going to live. I do feel like that Carol is being positioned as this warrior who just can't fit in. Her trust is gone, and her ability to live in a normal environment is gone. She's going to probably die to defend an ideal she believes in, but she probably can't inhabit. And that's going to probably galvanize Morgan into action.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think I can already see a scene where, like, Morgan is fatally wounded and he's dying in Rick's arms, and he gives this last thing, like, don't avenge me. Like, that's not the path I wanted. Like, if you have the choice, choose that third path, and that's going to carry the day, and that's why Rick's going to put in prison. So I think if I was going to make an official prediction, both Carol and Morgan don't make it through the all-out war storyline.
I could definitely see that. It sounds pretty good as described if they hit the details.
Right. But I can also see Morgan surviving, although him and Jesus kind of occupy a lot of the same space, warrior-wise. I can see him surviving and, like, Rick wanting to kill Negan and Negan encouraging him to do it, and, Lenny James putting a hand on Andrew Lincoln's shoulder and, like, talking him down from it. So, like, he doesn't have to die, but, like, if my gut says that both of them are probably going to be out.
Man, how many... It's just kind of ridiculous. Okay, we're going to take Negan prisoner because we don't kill people. Like, that's not what we do. We don't kill when we don't have to. How many people do they kill to get to Negan? They've got to kill hundreds of people to get to him, right?
Yeah, but it's more like... It's more of setting an example. It's like... I
know, I get it.
You don't want to make a martyr, and you want to show that this is a new way to do things. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't have to be a race to kill the top guy.
Right. I don't... So, clearly they have to somehow subdue not just Negan, but his entire camp of saviors. I mean, these are people who I think would kill for him. It's apparent what they will do for him. If the we or Negan thing means actually anything at all, then there should be someone rushing in to fill this power vacuum when he's gone, and not just, like, submitting.
How can you say that when we already see so many fractures in his inner circle? Like the one redheaded woman who is going away apparently to commit suicide.
But then we see his men who are perfectly fine being horrible shits to everyone.
But that's his...
You can't tell me that those guys wouldn't step in and become Negan, because he's already set up that philosophy.
Sure. But in the comic line, I think, if I recall correctly, the way this works out is that they take Negan prisoner, Dwight becomes the new leader of the Saviors, and takes them off into a more kinder, gentler path.
Okay.
Integrates them as another community.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that strong leader that steps in and is paved the way, and the men are prepared to follow. And it's the double agent that turns out to be Dwight. So I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I'm coming back on my initial optimism that maybe we'll get to all out. Like in my perfect world, Negan would be in prison at the end of this season.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of this next coming half season, and then we'd have the 2-year time jump forward. I doubt that we're going to get that. I think that they're going to drag out the prelude to war because they really haven't done enough work on Dwight to have him be a believable turncoat and for have him to be a believable person that can take over the Saviors. Like, I don't think so anyway.
Yeah.
I could be disappointed. They feel like they've done the road work and they're just going to do it. And it's going to be another like, oh, what the fuck?
The part that they haven't done enough on is making me believe that anybody would follow him.
That's what I'm saying.
Making him a believable leader, like you said. I think they've done just barely enough to make me understand that he's not 100% on board with Negan's method of ruling,
right,
or Negan's philosophies. Just barely, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think they've done enough, except for because of the way they structured this, also undercut with like, oh, we see Dwight having surprisingly depth, and then oh, look here, he's just gleefully and wantonly killing and pillaging and being a dick, and then he's also got more surprising depth. And
all right, let's get into some emails. John W. has a theory on the person in the boots, and I don't know what this means because I haven't read the comics, but he says, do you think it could possibly be Magna from the comics? Do you know who Magna is?
Don't know who Magna is.
Shit.
Is that one of the Whisperers? I thought they all had names like Alpha and Beta and whatnot.
Okay, maybe Magna's one of them.
Could be.
Okay, let's move on to Mike in Kentucky, who says, you've pointed out that using Sasha as a mistake for the very unique-looking Michonne would be racially insensitive. Yes, we did. It was just announced that actress Sonequa Martin Green, who plays Sasha, was cast in the lead role of Star Trek Discovery. While they claim she's going to be doing both shows...
She's the captain?
She is the captain.
No kidding.
No, she's not the captain.
Well, the lead. What the hell is the lead role then?
She might be the captain. Maybe she's the The black version of Janeway. Maybe they're going to the Delta Quadrant.
The Nega Janeway.
Yeah.
I guess that would be. I'm trying to see her as a captain.
Sure, I can see her as a captain.
Probably.
She's better than this show, is what's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like I never liked Janeway. But that is more from like it's not like a woman as a captain. It's more like wow, she really can't decide whether she wants to be prime like a slave or the prime directive or fuck everything. My crew is the most important. I'm getting us home, and like she kept on vacillating between that, and that was infuriating to me. It's like you just set half the galaxy on fire to shave off 3 weeks of your fucking 78-year trip, and now you're saying that we can't do this because of prime directive? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. With you.
She's just infuriating.
Yeah, they claim that she's going to be doing both shows, but Mike calls bullshit. I think they will kill her off by combining a second Walking Dead storyline. Prior to the kidnap of Holly, Negan thought he killed Andrea, who was the group's sniper, by shooting her out of the tower in Alexandria. It turned out to be someone else. On the show, Sasha is actually the group's sniper, but Michonne was training to do so. What if Negan's men kill Sasha in the tower, mistaking her for Michonne, which then frees Sonequa Martin Green to do Star Trek, which is actually, what we thought.
All right, so I'll believe that you could shoot Sasha out of a tower and watch her fall and maybe think it's Michonne.
Yeah.
From a distance.
Yeah, and
it's still hard to believe because even at a distance, like they don't dress or look anything alike.
Right.
But I definitely, I even said as much in the spoiler section early in the season that I think that they're certainly trying to retrofit Michonne into that Andrea angle. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of beats that only are going to work, like Rick being horrified that he thinks he's lost Andrea. Doesn't work if there's nobody to, like, if Michonne's not up in a tower being a sniper at any point. And there's also the Negan mistaking, Michonne for he thinks he's kidnapped Rick's girlfriend. Well, if he doesn't kidnap Michonne or someone that looks like Michonne, how are they going to do that beat? Now, they don't have to. It wouldn't be the first time they just remix shit and just ignore comic plots, but those seem like pretty big beats of the all-out war to me.
Sure. Yeah, they're important beats for Rick.
Yeah.
As a character.
Yeah, totally.
Wouldn't want to miss him. A couple of other emails. Matthew N. sent in a preview video where they're basically discussing how to take out Negan. They're up at the hilltop. It's kind of the whole group that we saw at the end of this season. And Jesus offers them a long-range radio to monitor the Saviors and to be able to like take your time and plan the attack. And he also says it's time to introduce you to King Ezekiel. So I think next season, hopefully pretty early on, we're going to immediately go and meet Ezekiel with the real group.
It's interesting because I thought that was going to... That's straight from the comics, but I thought somehow Carol and Morgan were going to be the ambassadors, but I guess they're just going to...
Yeah, it looks like Jesus is just going to take him over there, which is fine by me.
I wonder what the reaction is when Rick shows up. Like, how does Carol treat him? How does Morgan treat him? How do they view those guys?
So Carol says, "Hey, Morgan, don't tell anybody about me." Do you think Morgan's going to stick with that?
No. Okay. Morgan doesn't seem like he gives a shit about that kind of thing. Like, he's going to do what he thinks is right and what he thinks is right for you.
That's true.
Above all.
Yeah.
Like, that seems like it's very much his relationship with Carol.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Maybe have a little respect for her. Ben says, if it happens that they're planning on introducing the Whispers early, it may support a theory. Is Enid an earlier introduction of Lydia of the graphic novel? Alpha of the Whisperer's daughter? I don't know who that is.
Well, we saw her parents. That can't be. We saw her parents die. Mm-hmm. So, absolutely.